So I might not yet be an author. But until I was 13 years old, I was a little boy. Or so the story goes. All bowl cuts and corduroys, me and my sister spent our days in the park, climbing trees, spitting on people down below, having adventures, having fights. People mistook us for boys all the time, and we didn't put them right. Why would we? We were proud of it. So gender roles in my family were never very clear. So when I was about a year and a half old, my mum went back to work, and my dad was the house husband who took care of us. Now, that's nothing today, but this is the early 1970s when Benny Hill and carry-on films were still a thing, for quite a long time, actually. And it's interesting to look back to my father's early experiences of women. So he was born out of wedlock in the 1930s. His mother couldn't handle the stigma of having two illegitimate children at that time, so she passed them on to the grandparents, where his grandfather abused him, and his grandmother did nothing to stop it. Or so the story goes, at least. When his grandfather died, when he was about 7, suddenly of a heart attack, my father and his brother were shipped off to a Catholic orphanage, where the nuns who cared for them routinely bullied them and beat them for no reason at all. And this man had 3 daughters and brought them up. Now, how do you teach your daughters to become women when for you, women are absent, spineless, volatile, brutal, and definitely not to be trusted? But, you know, being a boy was fun. Great fun, actually. I had a job to do. I did have a job to do. I had a job to do. To protect the world, come on, from all things pink. And from fashion. And then puberty came, and I was definitely a girl. And I didn't resist it, but I wasn't particularly good at it, not having had a huge amount of experience. Or so the story goes. And it wasn't until quite a bit later that my own internal misogyny I started to become aware of it. So apart from the fact that I didn't do makeup and wearing a dress made me feel like I was totally in drag. And so awkward was I in that state that it made other people think that I was in drag as well. But everything about womanliness and girlishness I found really annoying. Like any woman who would giggle or flirt or, God forbid, ask a man for help, I just thought was really letting the side down, actually. I would rather struggle with a bag twice my size and ask a man twice my size to help me with it. I wanted to prove that I could do everything that any man could do. But the cost of that I was ignoring everything that women could do and everything that women could be, and it wasn't working for me, but I didn't know what to do about it. So last year I got myself a coach, ostensibly to work on a business plan. But femininity is what came up again and again, so that's what we worked on, and it was transformational. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about. My journey from boyhood to womanhood. And then I spoke to my mother. I just asked her for some photographs so that I could show you that I was pure boy until puberty. And she said, no, it's about 50-50. Half boy, half girl. Now, me and my mother don't always agree, especially about the past, but, you know, she was talking about photographic evidence, so turns out she was right, kind of. Possibly not a princess, but definitely a little girl. So I'm looking at these pictures, and I'm comparing them with the pictures of my head, and they just do not match up. So what on earth can have happened that image, that memory, has gone from my mind? Did I make this shit up? You know, I've built a whole identity on, well, it's been difficult for me to be a woman because, you know, I was a little boy when I was growing up and this bullish father and women were the enemy, and And now I find out it wasn't even true. So I started to question my memories and then, by extension, memory itself. And I found out this fact that blew my mind. The act of recalling a memory alters it. So every time you revisit a memory in your mind, it's like you Photoshop it and then you auto-save it. So for example, imagine I got a brilliant, gorgeous red rally chopper bike for my 7th birthday. Beautiful thing. And a whole load of other things. And every time I get that memory down, I look at it. Oh, God, and that bike is beautiful. So the red of the frame becomes a bit redder and the chrome's a little bit shinier. And the chemistry set and the book about lizards and the soap from Grandma, they've all gone into the background. I just see this bike. And then up it goes, it gets saved. And my memory has no way of remembering that it was ever any different because it's overwritten the whole thing. And what informs the way it's overwritten is the stories that I'm telling myself about who I am now, which are built on the stories I'm telling about myself based on the memories that I have. Because memories about ourselves, we hold on to them, we build our identities around them. So memories grow respectively. So this is, you fill in the gaps based on the stories you're telling yourselves. I've always thought of memories as solid and fixed and in the past, set in stone. And now I'm finding out that actually they're much more malleable, like plasticine. And the good thing about plasticine is that it changes. Now, it's changing all the time. It's changing automatically, and I'm not in control of it. So why wait? Why wait for my memories to change themselves based on stories that I'm not even aware of? Why not go in and change them myself? It's quite easy to do. Just recall the memory, go into it, and instead of waiting for changes to happen, make them happen yourself. Bring the chemistry set back. The book about lizards, I always wanted to know about geckos. Why not? Why not? And the unconscious mind doesn't know, it doesn't care. The brain deals with memory and imagination in the same area of its brain. It doesn't know any different. The unconscious mind accepts what we do and what we think now as real. It doesn't do time, it doesn't do past, present, future, and it doesn't do right or wrong, it just does yes. So the stories we tell ourselves, the things that we tell ourselves about who we are, create who we are. So what's the impact of this for me? Well, I suppose it's that I get to choose. Instead of just being a victim, oh God, so easy to be a victim. It wasn't my fault, it was all my dad. Instead of being a victim of this, I get to choose the story I tell about myself. I get to choose, and all it takes is to go in, squeeze a bit of plasticine, change a few things. Now, I was talking to somebody yesterday, actually, and she said, okay, so you say that, but are you telling me you would go to somebody who's had a history of sexual abuse as a child and say, don't worry about it, we're just going to change a few things in the background, pretend it never happened, it'll be fine. And the implication that I read into it is, who are you to say that? Who are you to say that to somebody, that you can go and change that for them, or you can help them change that? Well, that is an experience that exists in my past. And I can't speak for anybody else, but I can speak for myself. And this is where masculine and femininity come back. It's really important to have both those energies in dealing with things like this. Yes, shit happens. That's never going to change. There's a difference between what's fact and what's my truth. You can go back into a memory like that and say, yes, it's terrible, it happened, it was painful. But do you really need to keep repeating that pain based on a memory just because you think it's true? It's not true. It's changed. It's changed naturally without you trying to do it. And anybody who wants to go, who's had that experience, who wants to go back and revisit it, I'll take them by the hand and I'll walk with them. Because why would I choose a history that pains me and pains the people around me just because I think it's true when it wasn't true in the first place? It wasn't fixed. It was plasticine. It's a memory that's changed itself. And if I could go back and offer that as a gift, this knowledge, you're not your history, you're not what happened to you. If I could offer this knowledge to my father as a gift, I would be right there. Just imagine the difference in his experience. If he had been able to change his history, if he'd been able to create memories of loving, nurturing women in his life, imagine the impact on all the people around him, and imagine the impact on his own experience of a happy life. Now, I haven't got all the answers, or in fact, really any answers, but I do have a question. How does your story go? And what are you willing to do with the past to create a better future for yourself and for the people around you? Thank you.